Alrighty, let's study for our quiz that's going to be on all the different methods that we learned for solving systems, which is the graphing method. And then if we want to do it algebraically, we could either do the substituting method, where we make it x equals or y equals, or the elimination method, where we make one of the variables have the same coefficient, but one's negative and one's positive. That way, when we add the two equations together, we would be able to cancel out that variable. So let's try this now. All right, question 1. A system of equations is shown below. Which of the following methods eliminates one of the variables? Let's try all of them. Method A says multiply equation A by 2. So I'm going to multiply this by 2. Let's do that now. That would give me, this is option A. That would give me 10x plus 18y equals 24. And then it says multiply equation B by -6. Even though this might not be what we would normally do, it could still end up working, so that's how we're practicing it. -6 times 4 is -24x. -3 times -6 is positive 18y. And 8 times -6. Well, that part doesn't even matter. I already know that this wouldn't work because 18 plus 18 would only get me 36. And then the other two wouldn't cancel out. So A cannot be my answer. All right, let's try B. All right, B says multiply equation B by 3. So let's do that. 4x times 3x is 12x. -3 times 3 is -9y, and it really doesn't matter the other number, but 8 times 3 is 24. Then add the result to equation A. Equation A is 5x plus 9y equals 12. Hey, look, this is going to work. -9 plus 9 would equal 0, and those would eliminate. So it is choice B. So even though we teach you to multiply by the first number with x and then do the negative and positive, there is other methods you could use. It's just some of them is not what we always think is the best. All right, let's look at number 2. Using the substitution method, Vito is solving the system of equations algebraically. Using the substitution method, that's the method where you either get one of the equations to say x equals or one of them to say y equals. All right, if we look at this one here, if I look at the first equation, it would be easiest to get this one to say y equals because there's no number in front of it. So let's do that. We always want to look for which equation has a variable that has no number in front of it. Sometimes there might be a -1. That won't be a problem. But we want to not have an actual number in front of it. All right, I need to bring the 3x to the other side. So I'm going to subtract 3x. And I will get y equals -3x minus 4. All right, so I need to look for an answer choice that has -3x minus 4. -3x minus 4, not C, and not D. Okay. This is what y equals, which means I need to replace it with y in the equation. Y in the equation is next to -3, so it would be answer choice B. Why? Because they put what y equals next to the -3. In answer choice A, they put it for the x, but that's not what we were supposed to do it. Also, you could see here they changed the -3y to a positive 3x. That shouldn't have happened. So it is definitely answer choice B. Now, question 3 is an example of a graphing. It says, what is the solution of the system of equations whose graphs are shown below? So they graphed it. And then they're seeing where does the point cross? Remember, we look left to right for x, and then we look up and down for y. They didn't go left or right, so that would be 0, but they did go up 2, so 0, 2. I know my answer would definitely not be D because I don't see that they went down at all. But answer choice C makes the most sense. They didn't go left or right, they just went up 2. All right, now let's practice graphing. Oh, well, let's look at this one. Determine the solution to the system of equations whose graphs are shown below. Well, it would be right here. They went 1, 2, 3, 4, 4 to the left. And then they went down 1. On the quiz, you're going to have to actually graph this. So remember, I'm just going to give you like a sample thing. Oh, right here. We're going to have an example right here to graph. Let's look at this one. Solve the following system of equations graphically. All right, let me just make my x-axis and my y-axis. This is my x-axis, and this is my y-axis. All right, let's look at the first one. Y equals negative 2x plus 3. All right, for this one, the number that's by itself, that's 3. So that means I'm going to start by going up 3. 1, 2, 3, and I'm going to put a point. Then my slope is negative 2 over 1, which means I'm going to go down 2 to the right 1. 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 When I can't do that anymore, I will also go up 2 to the left 1. Perfect. And this is just an equation, so I connect the points, I put the arrows, and I'm going to label this as y equals negative 2x plus 3. All right. Now for the next one, I want to get this to be in y equals form. So I need to get rid of this x. I'm going to subtract x. That's going to get me negative 2y equals negative x minus 6. Then I'm going to divide both sides by negative 2. And I will get y equals 1 over 2x plus 3. That means I'm also going to start at a positive 3. And then my slope is 1/2, which means I'm going to go up 1 to the right 2. I technically already found the point where they cross, but I'll just keep going. I could also go down 1 and to the left 2. Alright, let's connect the points, put our arrows, and then label it with the original equation, x minus 2y equals negative 6. And look, the point where they cross is right here. For that point, we didn't go left or right, so that's 0. We just went up 3. 0, 3. That is our solution. All right, let's look at number 6. It's another graphing one. We want to get very good at graphing, so let's try this next one. Again, let me just make my x-axis and my y-axis. All right. It says y equals 2x minus 1. That means I'm going to start by going down 1. All right? Then my slope is 2 over 1. So I'm going to go up 2 to the right 1. Up 2 to the right 1. Then I could also go down 2 to the left 1. Perfect. All right, let me connect these points. And let me label it y equals 2x minus 1. All right, then the next one is x plus y equals 2. I cannot graph this until it says x equals, so I need to bring this x to the other side. I'm going to subtract x, and I will be left with y equals negative x plus 2. So I will start at positive 2, and then my slope is negative 1 over 1. So I go down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1, down 1 to the right 1. I could also go up 1 to the left 1, but I technically don't need to do many more points because I have my point where they cross. This is the equation x plus y equals 2. And where they cross is right here. And this is the point. We went to the right 1, and we went up 1. 1, 1. Good. All right. Let's look at the next question. Solve the following of equations by substitution. State the coordinates of the solution. All right. For substitution, you need to get one of these equations to say x or y equals. It doesn't matter. I'll just make the first one say y equals because I see this y is by itself. You can make the first one say y. You can make the second one say x equals. You could also make the third one say negative x equals, but you'll just have an extra step to get rid of that negative x. But you would not want to make the second one say y equals because you don't want to get rid of that too. So we have y minus x equals negative 1. Let's get rid of the minus x by adding x. And we will be left with y equals x minus 1. Now we go to the second equation, which we haven't touched, and we're going to replace the y with what y equals. So we'll have 2. Instead of y, I'm going to put x minus 1, and then I'm going to write the rest of this down. Plus x equals 4. All right. 2 times x is 2x. 2 times negative 1 is negative 2. Plus x equals 4. 2x plus x is 3x. Minus 2 equals 4. Let's add 2. We get 3x equals 6. Divide by 3. X equals 2. Now, if I'm trying to find y, it would be the easiest to use an equation that already says y equals, or you could use one of the original equations. I'll just use the y equals 1. Y equals x. X is 2 minus 1. And 2 minus 1 is 1. Now, you want to go to both of those original equations and see if x equals 2 and y equals 1, does it equal what it says? That's what you want to try. All right, and write it as an ordered pair. X goes first, which is 2. Y goes second, which is 1. So our answer would be 2, 1. Perfect. That is the substitution method. Let's try another one for substitution method. All right. We can make it either say r equals or s equals. It's easiest to go to one that doesn't have a number in front of it. This r doesn't have a number in front of it, so I'll go with that. But you could have also made this equation say s equals. Subtract the s. We will get r equals negative s plus 2. All right, so I'm going to go to my second equation that I haven't touched, and I'm going to replace the r with what r equals. So I will get 3 parentheses negative s plus 2 plus 9s equals 16. 3 times negative s is negative 3s. 3 times 2 is 6 plus 9s equals 16. Negative 3 plus 9 is 6s, plus 6 equals 16. Subtract 6 on both sides. I'll get 6s equals 10. Let me just make sure I haven't made a mistake. 3 times negative s is negative 3s. 3 times 2 is 6, plus 9s equals 16. Negative 3 plus 9 is 6s. Yeah, okay. Divide by 6. That would give me s equals 5 over 3. Let me just get my calculator going now that I have a fraction. All right, now let's look at the r equals equation. R equals negative s, which is 5 over 3, plus 2. So let's do that. Negative 5 over 3 plus 2 gets me 1 over 3. And let's make sure this is true. R is 1 over 3 plus s, which is 5 over 3. Does that equal 2? It does. Let's look at the next one. 3 times r. R is 1 over 3 plus 9 times s, which is 5 over 3. And does it equal 16? It does. Okay. So even though it was a fraction, it's all right. And we don't need to write this as an ordered pair since it's not x and y. We'll just leave it like this. Alrighty, let's look at number 9. Solve this using the elimination method. Alright. So, to use the elimination method, we are going to multiply the top number by whatever. Oh, 1 second. They made this one a little funky because we need them in the same order. We need the x and the y in the same order. So we need to have it as 4x minus 5y equals negative 6. And then we need to put the x first. 1x minus 3y equals 2. Okay. We're not going to do that to you on the quiz, but they made it a little funky. All right. We're going to multiply the first one by 1 and the second one by 4. But because none of the x's are negative, we're going to make one of them negative. All right. The top equation would stay the same. It would just be 4x minus 5y equals negative 6. And now for the second equation, negative 4 times 1x is negative 4x. Negative 4 times negative 3y is positive 12y. And negative 4 times 2 is negative 8. Now let's add these together. Negative 4x plus negative 4x is 0. Negative 5 plus 12y is 7y. And negative 6 plus negative 8 is negative 14. Let's divide both sides by 7, and we get y equals negative 2. All right, now to find x, we could use either of the equations. I'll just use the first one. 4x minus 5, my y is negative 2, equals negative 6. So I will get 4x. Negative 5 times negative 2 is positive 10, equals negative 6. Subtract 10. I will get 4x equals negative 16. Divide by 4. X equals negative 4. Now I'm just going to go check in that second equation. Negative 3. My y is negative 2. plus my x is -4. And does it equal 2? It does. So my final answer would be -4, -2. Perfect. And let's look at this last one. Solve using the elimination method. All right. It's already C, D. The variables are lined up, so that's good. We're going to multiply the first one by 6. We're going to multiply the second one by 5. And because neither of them is negative, I always like to make my bottom one negative. 6 times 5c is 30c. 6 times 7 is 42d. And 6 times 39 is 234. Then -5 times 6c is -30c. -5 times -5 is +25. And -5 times 20 is -100. All right, let's add these together. -30 plus 30, that crosses off. 42 plus 25, that becomes 67d. And 234 minus 100 becomes 134. Let's divide both sides by 67. We get d equals 2. Now I want to find c, so I'm going to go to any of the original equations. So 5c plus 7, my d is 2, equals 39. 5c plus 14 equals 39. Subtract 14 from both sides. 5c equals 39 minus 14 is 25. Divide both sides by 5. We get c equals 5. Perfect. All right. So elimination method, that is when we make one of the variables have the same coefficient where one is negative and one is positive. Substitution method, that is where we get one of them to say one of the variable equals and then we plug into the other one. And graphing method is when we graph them using the slope and the y-intercept and we see where do they cross. And that wraps up our lesson on reviewing for our quiz on systems.